Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Are you ready to tell me your homework?
Insha'Allah, I am ready to answer the questions you asked. What is fard? Fard. It is any duty that is absolutely necessary to perform from a religious point of view. Fard is also divided into two categories, fard al-ain and fard al-kifaya. Fard al-ain. It is the obligatory duty that every accountable Muslim, Mukallaf, must perform individually. For example, the 5 daily prayers. Fard al-kifaya. It is the collective duty that, if performed by some Muslims, the obligation is lifted from the rest. For example, the funeral prayer. There is a great reward for performing the obligatory duties. If they are abandoned without a valid excuse, it entails the punishment of Allah. If none of the Muslims perform a fard al-kifaya that they are aware of and are capable of doing, then all those Muslims are considered sinful in the sight of Allah. What is wajib? Wajib. In our religion, it refers to something that is not established with the same level of absolute certainty as fard, but is still proven with a strong religious evidence. For example, the witr prayer and the Eid prayers. There is reward for performing wajib acts, and abandoning them entails punishment. Denying the obligation of a wajib act is considered an innovation, bid'ah, and a sin. These are the rulings regarding wajib. What is sunnah? Sunnah. These are the actions performed by our noble Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, that are not obligatory. Sunnah is divided into two categories, sunnah mu'akkada and sunnah ghayr mu'akkada. Sunnah mu'akkada, emphasized sunnah. These are the acts of worship that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, regularly performed and only left rarely. For example, the sunnah prayers before Fajr, Duhur, and after Maghrib prayers. In Islam, sunnahs such as the call to prayer, adhan, the iqamah, and performing prayers in congregation are known as sunan al-huda, and they are also emphasized sunnahs. Sunnah ghayr mu'akkada, non-emphasized sunnah. These are acts of worship that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, performed occasionally without consistency. For example, the sunnah prayers before Asr and Isha, the actions related to the personal habits of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, such as his way of eating, drinking, dressing, sitting, and standing, are called sunan al-zawaid, and they are considered non-emphasized sunnahs as well. Performing the emphasized sunnahs and the sunan al-huda brings great reward. Intentionally abandoning them does not bring punishment, but it is blameworthy. Performing the non-emphasized sunnahs and the zawaid sunnahs is very virtuous. It is a sign of following the beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and a means of gaining his intercession. Not performing them does not bring blame. These are the rulings regarding sunnahs. The practices, behaviors, and paths of piety and abstinence followed by the noble companions, Sahaba, are also referred to as sunnah by us Hanafis. What is Mustahabb? Mustahabb literally means something beloved. In religious terms, it refers to acts of worship that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sometimes performed and sometimes did not. For example, the duha, forenoon prayer. This is a type of sunnah that is not emphasized. What is mubah? Mubah. These are actions that are permissible in religion. There is no sin in doing them or in not doing them. For example, eating or not eating a lawful food or fruit. What is makruh? Makruh literally means something disliked or undesirable. In religious terms, it refers to things that are prohibited with evidence. But there is also another indication that lightens the prohibition. It is something that is not proper to do, and it is better to refrain from it. What is haram? Haram. It refers to anything whose doing, using, eating, or drinking has been strictly prohibited in Islam by definitive evidence.
MashaAllah. May Allah reward you for your efforts. But I want to add something to what you have explained. Just as fard is divided into fard al-ain and fard al-kifaya, fard is also divided into fard qati, definitive obligation, and fard zani, probable obligation. Fard qati, definitive obligation. These are duties that are unquestionably established by a clear verse of the Quran or an authentic hadith of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. For example, prayer and zakah. Fard zani, probable obligation. These are duties established by evidence that is considered strong and close to being definitive according to qualified scholars, mujtahids. In practice, it holds the same weight as a definitive obligation. This is also called fard al-amali, practical obligation. Because its evidence is probable, zani, it is sometimes called wajib. Therefore, fard al-amali is considered the weaker type of fard, but the stronger type of wajib. For example, wiping over the head during wudu is a definitive obligation, but wiping over at least 1/4 of the head is a practical obligation, fard al-amali. Now let's explain the topic of mustahabb a bit more. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, loved and encouraged certain acts known as mustahabb. The noble early believers also performed these acts eagerly and advised their fellow Muslims to do the same. Mustahabb acts are also known as mandub, fadila, virtuous acts, nafil, optional acts, tatavu, voluntary acts, and adab, etiquette. Here is the explanation. It is called mandub or fadila because it brings much reward and is desired to be done. It is called nafil because it is performed in addition to obligatory and wajib acts. It is called tatavu because it is done purely for the sake of earning reward, without a binding order. It is called adab because it is a beautiful and praiseworthy act. Its plural form is adab. For more information about adab, one can refer to the section on morals in this book. Performing mustahabb acts brings reward. Abandoning them does not entail blame, criticism, or even slight disapproval, karaha. These are the rulings concerning mustahabb. According to the scholars of the Shafi'i and Hanbali schools, sunnah, mustahabb, and mandub are considered the same. Any sunnah may also be called mustahabb or mandub. As for makruh acts, they are divided into two types. Makruh tahrimi. This is the type of makruh that is close to being haram. Makruh tanzihi. This is the type of makruh that is close to being halal. This definition is according to Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Abu Yusuf. According to Imam Muhammad, anything that is makruh tahrimi is considered haram and entails punishment in the hereafter, like haram itself. Anything that is makruh tanzihi is, by consensus, close to being halal. Doing such an act does not entail punishment, but refraining from it brings reward. In the books of fiqh, when the term karaha, dislike, is mentioned without specification, it generally refers to makruh tahrimi. I am very pleased that you explained everything so well, but you forgot to mention who is considered a mukallaf.
Forgive me, respected Shaykh. I was very nervous while telling you my homework, and I forgot to explain about the mukallaf. Mukallaf is a person upon whom religious obligations are placed. There are 3 conditions for being a mukallaf: being a Muslim, being of mature age, puberty, being sane, having sound intellect. Such people are obligated to perform prayers, fasting, zakah, and other religious duties.
MashaAllah, you have explained everything very beautifully. May Allah grant you knowledge and firm adherence to His religion.